the way, and we'll get started. I know Vicki mentioned about, how can I get up off the floor if I'm on the ground, and can I do that without hands? Well, I'm not too talented in showing that. I need to practice that before I show you. But when I was teaching yoga for MS, one of my ladies said I fell in the middle of the room, and her MS, multiple sclerosis, was the type that she didn't have fine muscle control of her lower body. So she basically had to army crawl over to some place where she could get up onto the chair. So I'm just going to demonstrate how to, if you're able to crawl, if you're able to come over to a surface, a couch, a chair, you would put your arms on the chair, on the couch. You might have to turn a little sideways. So I'm going to turn a little sideways. And I'm going to bring my hand underneath my knee pits, bring that foot onto the floor. So this gives me kind of a pivoting weight-bearing option to where I can lean into the surface that I'm going to shift my weight into. So I'm going to curl that back toe, push into my hands, belly button tight, and just kind of bring myself upright. And then I'm going to scooch into the chair. Now, typically, you're not going to have a lot of energy to get up and go if you've fallen and you've had to drag yourself across the floor. So you may have to rest here before you get up right. So that's one mechanism for getting up off the floor. So you'll see me use the chair when I get up off the yoga mat upright. So I'm going to go ahead and transition back down to the floor. And I use the chair. I step one foot back and then come down to that shin knee. And again, I got a spicy knee going on, so I don't like to have much weight bearing on both knees. Shift that chair out of the way, come on to the floor. I'm going to pivot down. Anyway, I do what I do with, however I can to get down to the floor nice and safe. We're going to start in constructive rest posture. So that's where we're lying on our back, knees bent. Now, if you're doing the chair version today, you scooch a little bit away from the back of the chair so you don't have that slumpy back going on. And again, some of the poses translate well to the chair, some do not. It's just, the nature of this particular class, because it is specific postures for easing back challenges. Make sure you got your yoga block or blocks and your strap or a long towel close by. So I invite you to come onto your back. And if you've come to class, you move that blanket out of the way with me before, you know that, oh man, this does not feel good in my body to lie on my back. So I have to make some adjustments. It's because of all the back stuff that's going on with me. So for me, knees bent, feet on the yoga mat, constructive rest pose. You can kind of ease tension out of the back side of the body by being here for a few moments. Now, if you don't like to get down to the floor, go over to the couch and do this because this is wonderful. Again, you can get some easement of back challenges. I grab my wrist and I pull my shoulder up and away and relay it back down. I'm going to grab the other wrist to the other side and reposition it. So that makes my shoulders feel more even because I have one shoulder that's more into the ground than the other because of that curve of my spine, because of my disc degeneration and all that spicy stuff. Now, for me, the behind, the back of the pelvis does not feel nice to me. Okay, that's just one word for it. So what I'm going to do is walk my feet towards my behind and then lift my behind up and re-roll my spine back on down to the yoga mat to kind of make it feel a little bit more ease in my body. And then I'm going to walk my feet a little bit away. So for me, that feels pretty good. Another thing to notice, well, my face is heating up here. Notice if your nose is like pointing straight up towards the ceiling or if it's tilted back behind you. So that's an indication you've got lots of curvature going on with that, cervical spine. You might want to put a blanket underneath the shoulders, the back of the head to make it more comfortable. Or take your hands back behind your ears, that roundy part, the occiput, and then lift up and kind of tuck the chin in towards the chest and kind of lengthen the back of the head away. And again, that might feel okay with your body. You might have to go back to the other way that you were doing here. From here, let's place our hands low on the belly, below the belly button, and then, one hand above that. And you may have to walk your elbows in, wiggle your shoulders to make it comfortable. We're going to breathe in and expand the belly outwards. And as we exhale, really draw the belly button towards the spine. So here we go. Breathe in, belly big. Your chest will also rise, by the way. And then exhale, contract that belly button towards the spine. Let's do that again. Breathe in, expand the belly. And then exhale, belly button towards the spine. Whew, my eyes are starting to water. And again, breathe in, belly big. And exhaling. Now, if you're seated on the chair, it's the same thing. Breathe in, breathe out. Now, this next one is knee to chest pose. And you're going to bring your fingertips back behind your knee pit your knee pit. And basically, if you're seated, this is going to be a little bit of a challenge. You may want to take the yoga strap along the bottom of the foot, or if you can, both hands back underneath. And then from here, we're going to draw a little knee circle. Just notice if it's spicy. And again, you don't have to go fast. You can kind of feel stuff that might be going on. Stuff is the operative word today. Woo! And again, I am making a recording of the class today. So if you need to revisit this class next week, because this is only offered every other week, then you have a video to accompany what we did today. And then let's pause and go the other direction. Sometimes it's easier because, short arms, long legs, whatever, to thread a yoga strap underneath to do this knee circle. So, you can use your gear to help facilitate the yoga posture. And if I'm using a strap, that means it can be a little bit more far away from my body. Again, it could be back behind the knee pit. It can be along the bottom of the foot. And then release the foot back down to the floor. We're going to do the other side. Now you're going to decide, how am I going to do this? Strap on the foot, strap behind the knee, hands behind the knee, whatever you can manage here. But you're going to invite the other side in towards your chest. And you just kind of notice, how does this feel compared to the first side? Does it feel different? It might, okay? And then start drawing a circular shape. It might be an oval. It might be a circle. It might be an amoeba. Again, depending on the length of your arms, the spiciness of your back challenges, it might be easier to do this with a strap threaded underneath and hang on to both ends of the strap to do that circular shape, or that shape of whatever your movement is, yeah? We're just kind of warming up those hip joints a bit. And then reverse. Let's go the other way. Today I was teaching someone that has fibromyalgia, and she was in my class earlier today. And I was talking to her about how when I was in Victoria, Texas, I taught at the health hospital, the health club there, and I had 6 fibromyalgia students in my class. And their thing was, I hurt if I do, I hurt if I don't. When I come to Gail's class, the hurt afterwards feels different, and I'm able to not feel all stiff and stoved up. So I'm like, wow, okay. That's amazing that you still want to come, even though you still feel like you have pain. So there's some elements to that. You gotta, if you rest, you're going to rust. We don't want to rust. Yeah. Hopefully all you went the other direction, because I was talking and I don't remember if I cued you. Go the other direction if you did not. That'll be the problem with this class. I'll get to talking and y'all be going, wait, what about the other side? Okay. And then release this down to the floor. All right, so we're going to do windshield wipers. So windshield wipers, seated on the chair, you got to grab your yoga block and have the balls of the feet on the block. And that way you can get a little range of motion going on here. This one's better, though, on the couch, on the floor, or in the bed. Bed yoga, that's the best. So what we're going to do is take one of your legs and drop it out to the side. So that's your little windshield wiper. Now, sometimes it feels kind of spicy in that top hip area, that musculature. I'll take my yoga block and put it underneath to rest my leg weight on that. And then I'm going to take my top one and drop it towards the bottom one. So you get a little big range of motion going on here, lying on your back. It's different though, seated on the chair. And those of you all that like to stay seated in the chair, y'all, kind of know this. If you ever do this again on the bed, you notice, ooh, I can go a little bit more. Yeah. All right. So bring the top leg back to the center and then the bottom leg back to the center. You're back into constructive rest pose. Number one pose for easing back challenges. This one right here. It's not sexy. It's not fancy. It's the one that gets the job done. Okay. Let's do the other side. Drop the knee out to the other side. You're on the side of the foot, kind of stimulating the muscles on the side of the foot when you're doing that. Do you need the yoga block underneath on this side? I don't. So that tells you right there, there's muscular imbalances one side versus the other. And then take the other leg, drop it towards the bottom leg. Some of your behind might be clearing off the floor. So here you go with a little low lumbar twist here. It might be really stuck to the ground. It's okay either way, right? You have permission to be different in your yoga posture. Whatever yoga class, Tai Chi class you take. Take that top leg back to the center, bottom leg back to the center. We're going to do that one more time right now. So go back to the original one, drop it towards the floor. And again, stimulating the side of the foot muscle. So the second time, I don't need the yoga block because it's already warmed up a bit. Doesn't feel all stiff and achy. And then take that top leg, drop it towards that bottom leg. And I'm going to take my hand to see, did I clear some more behind space? I sure did. I'm twisting a little bit more. Now, sometimes when you twist a little bit more, there might be more spiciness encountered in the pose. One way you can kind of counteract that is to listen to the breath. So you breathe in through the nostril tips, listen to the air. So it's called the redirection of senses. And then exhale, air out through the nose. All right, so that may or may not work. We'll just see, yeah? Bring that top leg back to the center, kind of hung out in that pose a little bit. Bottom leg, use your hand if necessary to guide it back. Always use whatever you need to do to make it easier for you to do, okay? Other side. Here we go. Drop the leg. Okay, so I'm resting on that side of the foot when I do this. Now, you're not going to be able to do the side of the foot on the chair, but, you're doing the best you can, all right? Again, take top leg, drop it towards the bottom leg, just nice and slow. Maybe go a little bit more, maybe not. Again, you can do your hand underneath, maybe. Now, top hip musculature might feel spicy. Spicy is my general word for a little bit of pain. What I like to do sometimes for like counter pressure is take either the heel of my hand or my thumb and press into that spicy place. Just press down and just kind of a little bit side to side. Sometimes that helps. Sometimes it makes it more spicy. So again, all about trigger point therapy. This is a concept of trigger point therapy. And you might move it around a little bit. You might have encountered this if you've been to physical therapy, that kind of go in there and kind of press into the fascia that's kind of stuck. Yeah, those little knots, so to speak. And then bring the top leg back to the center, bottom leg back to the center. Now we're going to do something called notice pose. It's a fancy word for dead man's pose, or what's the other one? It's called relaxation pose. Yeah. In the chair, you rest on the back of the heels, legs out in front of you. Those of us on the floor, let's extend one leg all the way down, maybe past your yoga mat. And let's do the other one. And sometimes that hip grabs me, so I have to pat my hip to release that grabby sensation and extend that other leg. So what I want you to notice, this is why it's called notice, is how does this feel in your upper back musculature? How does this feel around your behind, the back side of the behind, the back of the legs, the calves? Notice what you notice. Do you feel more heavy one side into the floor versus the other? Do you feel more heavy one side, right or left, with the legs extended, seated on the chair? So again, this is kind of like our little snapshot. All right, let's go back to constructive rest pose. Drag a foot back onto the yoga mat. There you go. Then the other. From here, let's march in place. So, march in place, stomp your feet, so to speak. And then come up either on the balls of the feet or flat feet if you're on the laying on your back, and shake the legs. And this is good for preventing leg cramps. And go back to walking in place, march in place. And one more, shake of the legs. Very good. Nice. Now I'm going to sit up and explain this next pose because it's going to take a little bit of explanation. So we're going to take a yoga block in between our thighs, or a small pillow or a ball, or maybe legs together if you don't have that piece of gear. Be sure to watch the video once you do have gear, okay? And then we're going to do what's called golfer's grip. So we have a hand and we're going to fold the fingers into the pad of the hand. And then what we try to do is have the forearm aligned with the top of the hand. So you don't go around with cocked wrist, okay? And you're going to turn your thumbs inward. Okay, so that's the setup for golfer's grip. So what we're trying to do is strengthen the hip musculature with the squeezing of the block. And then we're going to work through our range of motion of our shoulders and also strengthen the upper back musculature. So this is for easing back challenges. So you got to strengthen stuff to have easing of stuff happen. So grab your yoga block. If you're seated, grab your yoga block. If you're laying on the yoga mat, let me see where it is. There it is. And then go back to constructive rest pose because we got to do the setup now. So I'm going to take that yoga block, the medium width in between the legs, and I'm not having it at the knee, but a little bit more into the thigh, if that makes sense. And then again, I'm going to readjust my back. Very good. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is take my feet and heel toe them in. So I feel a consistent squeeze of the inner thighs. So a lot of times we lose the ability to walk, to go upstairs, because we lose this inner thigh strength. By really nice, so we're not like squeezing the tar out of it, okay? We're just doing a good little squeeze. Now, maybe if you want a little bit more, always maybe, okay? Heel toe in a little bit more to where you feel a little bit more contraction energy happening here. Woo! Okay. Try to keep that consistent squeezing of the block. You don't want to let it go. Now from here, we're going to have the hands out in front of us as if we're flying through the air. So do little arms up and down, little abdominal challenge there, little sneaky abs. And then we're going to move the hands into golfer's grips. We're going to fold the fingers into the pad of the hands. So do that, and then turn the thumbs towards the center. So we're still in super person arms, yes? Okay, whether you're seated, whether you're lying on your back, and then bend your elbows to where the back of the arms are on the floor. If you're seated, your forearms are parallel to the floor. Now, did you lose your block? Did you lose your squeeze of the block? Re-squeeze. Okay, very good. Now what we're going to do is squeeze the shoulder blades towards the spine or push your shoulders into the floor. So here we go. Squeeze and release. Squeeze and release. 3 more. Squeeze and release. 2 more. Squeeze and release. 1 more. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Squeeze the block a little extra also. And release the golfer's grip. Hand in front of you. Clap your hands. Oop, do that again. And rub some. Let's see. My hands are feeling stiff in that golfer's grip. So I'm rubbing some heat to kind of make it feel a little bit better. Yeah. Also, this stimulates the meridians in your hands when you do. If you do it with the open fingers, that helps too, because we have about 12 different traditional Chinese medicine meridians on the sides, the valleys of the fingers. All right, now interlace the fingers, squeeze the palms, arms super straight. If you're lying on your back, drop your shoulders. Make the elbows look the same. My right elbow likes to turn out. I just know that, so I make them look the same. From here, squeezing the block consistently. Woo! We're going to bring the arms slowly up and overhead. Oh. And your abdominals may be going, whoa, Nelly. Be sure to remember to breathe. Now you're going to have a natural stopping place, because when your elbows start to bend, you need to, back off and re-straighten your arms. Squeeze the palms. Squeeze the block. Notice where your arms are. Mine are on the side of my glasses. This is more difficult to do seated than lying on your back. So remember this one later on when you're on the bed, okay? Woo! Here we go. Belly button tight. Slowly bring the hands back to in front of your chest. Now I said slowly, not fastly. Woo! Once it kind of gets there, release the interlace of the hands, and then clap the hands. Rub some circulation back in. Oh yeah, I love this part. All right, go back to golfer's grip. Fold those fingers in. Ooh, that right hand came down a little bit more. Okay, I don't have not all my fingers come down. They're kind of stiff. Turn the thumbs towards the center, and then go ahead, bend the elbows, and then have parallel forearms to the floor if you're seated. Back of the arms on the ground if you're lying on your back, and squeeze a block. I always forget. I release the squeeze. It's just there. Re-squeeze. Okay, re-squeeze. Here we go. Keep the consistent squeeze, but here we go with the shoulders. Squeeze and release. Squeeze and release. Two, three more. Squeeze. Release. Two more. Squeeze and release. One more. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Hands in front of your chest and clap. Yay. Do that again. Woo, that was a loud one. Today is our traditional gentle yoga for back care. So I do the verbal cueing for the chair poses if you're wanting to not get down on the floor, but we stay here for a bit. So maybe you want to try to get down to the floor, and then we'll do that easing up off the ground a little bit later. Interlace the fingers, squeezy palms, shoulders down. Here we go. Belly button tight, squeeze the block. All right, bring the arms up and overhead. I give you all enough time for recovery, I hope. And so it's gone past where it was before. I'm on the side pieces of my glasses now. Woo! I got one shoulder that will keep me from doing stuff. That's okay. I gotta wiggle my thumbs. I'm not quite down to the floor yet. I don't know if it'll happen today. We'll see. It might. Who knows? All right, so from here, squeeze the palms, belly button tight, squeezy block. Bring the hands back to that in front of your chest position. I'm going a little fast. Okay, and once it's there, release the hands, clap the hands. Oh, I'm going to do that again. I like a good clap. My husband says my clap is too loud. How can a clap be too loud? Isn't that the purpose? You're supposed to clap loud, yes? No. He's got some strange ideas. All right, hold those fingers back to golfer's grip, and then turn those thumbs. Here we go, back of the arms down on the floor. If you want to learn more about postural alignment, it's Pete Egoscue. He was a Marine out of the Vietnam War, and he came up with all these cool postural alignment things that I use in our gentle yoga for back care class. So here we go. Squeeze the block, squeeze those shoulders. Here we go. Squeeze and release. Squeeze and release. Three more. Squeeze and release. Two more. Squeeze, release. One more. Squeeze, 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 squeeze the block a little, just a little extra, because it's our last time. All right, release the squeeze and release the hands. Clap the hands. Woo! Rub some circulation into those fingers, especially those golfer grip digits, those fingers. Interlace the fingers, squeezy palms, shoulders down, elbows the same. Check, 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 check. Here we go. Squeeze the block, arms up overhead. People think, oh, chair yoga, it's easy. No, there's things that are more difficult doing seated on the chair than doing the regular yoga posture. Wherever you are, maybe you can wiggle your thumbs. Oh my gosh, I'm touching the floor. Oh my God, can't believe it. I thought I was pretty far away before. And then squeeze the block, squeeze the belly, and then bring the hands slowly back to heart center. My right shoulder was spicy when I first started doing this, and man, it has healed up so fast. All right, clap the hands. A little bit of heat here. All right, and then from here, release the block. You go back to walking in place, kind of release that held tension that we were doing, and then shake the legs, shake the hands too. Why not? Again, shake, stomp the feet. Maybe you can do the walking kind of arms. Yeah, that sounds weird, right? All right, now we're going to transition into piriformis bounce and pigeon. So I'm going to turn sideways on the yoga mat. So maybe, if you're looking at this in the camera, you can see a little different view. I'm gonna grab my strap and my yoga block. Because sometimes we are not able to reach the different places in our body. So with this one seated on the chair, it's a little spicy, okay? Don't be way back in the chair. Be a little bit on the midsection of the chair when you do this. So what we're going to do, again, go back to constructive rest pose. Again, I'm showing this a little sideways here. Very good. And, get everything nice and positioned here. And I keep my block, my strap close by because I might need it. We're going to take your favorite leg. It's either going to be your right leg or your left leg. In my case, it's the right leg. And shake it up into the air. And then wiggle it side to side. Shake, shake, shake. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Then I take that leg that's in the air, drop it on top of my other leg. Now, this may or may not be available seated in the chair. You may have to take the foot and drop it on top of the ankle with the knee out to the side. If you're doing this version, you'll need your yoga strap. Get your yoga strap and thread it underneath the knee pit. You can have an armpit, we can have a knee pit. Yes? Yes. So the objective, this is the bounce part before going to reclined pigeons. You're going to, bring the leg towards you and release it. Or if you're here, leg on top, you can take your hand and push it away. If you're seated with the leg on top, you pull it towards you and let it drop. Because there's not much stuff going on when you push away when you're sitting on the chair because of the different position of the pelvis. What some folks will do is grab the yoga block and facilitate that pushing of the leg away, okay? So this is to help warm up the piriformis muscle, which sometimes that sciatic nerve is entrapped alongside that muscle, in the muscle, or in the pelvic notch, causing that numbness, nervy pain, neuropathy, and it can be moving up one side of the leg down versus the other because it's a nerve issue, yeah? A pinchy, trapped nerve. All right, and then from here, let's be still, whichever version you're using. Now, if you're seated, you're sitting up nice and tall. Seated folks, you're going to grab your thigh, grab your knee if it's available, and hinge forward. You're going to feel it immediately in that behind, okay? Those of us on the floor, tap, tap, tap the bottom foot. Press that bottom foot on the ground. Take the top toes pointing towards your knees. Squeeze both buns and push that top leg away. Maybe you use your yoga block to do that. So again, this is the version of lying down pigeon, reclined pigeon. So when you're on your hands and knees and you have the knee up in between the hands, if you have SI joint dysfunction, which I also have, that can make that worse and have more pain. But being here lying on your back, you can still get the effects of doing pigeon, but with a little bit being safer in the body. So this is the reason this is done on the floor as opposed to on the hands and knees, leg up in between the hands. You've probably seen the fancy yoga poses where people are doing that. That's okay. Those people can do that. Those of us with back challenges maybe should not do that, okay? Well, we still want the benefit of the pose. Here it is, whether you're seated or on your back or on the bed, yeah? And then relax and release that. Woo! Shake that top leg. In fact, let's just bring it in the air and shake it. Wiggle it. Shake it again. And release it down to the floor. Now I gotta do the other side. Yay, the other side. So bring that leg up in the air. Shake your leg. Maybe some snap, crackle, pop going on there. And wiggle it side to side. This one doesn't wiggle as jauntily as the other one. And again, shake. Then you got to decide where is it going to go, on top of the ankle, on top of the thigh. Make sure that ankle is not knobbing your thigh though, okay? And then we got to bounce. We got to bounce. So decide on your bounce. I'm going to use my block on this one. Doesn't have to be fast, okay? Just need a little bit of movement. Maybe you want to pull it up towards you. That's it. A little bit of more pelvis mobility going on there. When that happens, that might be good. That might not be good. So, you got to decide, yeah? Maybe you have SI joint dysfunction when you're lying in the bed and you think, oh, I got to roll over to the other side. And you're going, ooh, what was that? So that means something in your SI joint was out of alignment here in your pelvic bones. And it's like, ooh, and then when you roll over to the other side, same kind of thing. So you're being tentative when you're rolling over side to side. And that's one way to know that you have it. All right. And then let's be still, sit up tall, and then hinge forward. Those of us on the floor, though, tap, tap, tap that bottom foot. And then press firm into that bottom leg. So you're contracting that musculature. Take that top toe, point it towards your knee, squeeze both bones, press top leg away with your own muscular strength or your hand or your yoga block. I like the yoga block on this one. Don't hold the breath. Keep breathing. Flex that heel, toes towards your knees, squeeze bones, firm foot into the floor. Firm foot into the floor. Woo! And release. Wriggle, jiggle that a little bit. Bring the leg up into the air. Shake it like you don't care, but we do care. And then side to side. All right, now we don't do this normally, but we're going to do this today. Bring that foot back on down. And I'll tell you what that is in just a second. Let's do notice pose because I want you to notice how this feels. Let's see if I hit the wall here. Bring one leg, extend it out, then the other. I'm going to wiggle my feet. So I feel a little bit more connected evenly for me, for my stuff, my issues with my tissues. See if you notice any difference. You might not. All right, so we're going to do pigeon again. Oh, yay. So bring your feet back on up. So you can do the pigeon that we just previously did, or some folks want to be vigorous in this. Some folks, it's like, nope, not going to happen. So the more vigorous version of reclined pigeon, it's not, you're just doing the same thing seated, folks, if you're in the chair. Bring that leg on top. And then what some folks will do is take the bottom leg in towards the chest. You can do this one of two ways. You can thread that yoga strap underneath and then invite the leg towards your body. Woo! Or hands underneath and invite the leg towards your body. And that top behind might feel a little extra going on here. Now, this may or may not be something you want to do, and it's okay. You can go back to that previous thing where you're pushing that top leg away. One of the things I like to do if I'm doing this version of pigeon is move a little bit side to side. But it can be spicy. Yeah. Be sure to return that attention to that breath. Listen to the breath going in through the nose, out through the nose. I kind of feel it there in that kind of behind hip socket kind of business, yeah? And release it down. And let's just switch to the other side. Bring the other one on top. Again, maybe you're pushing it away, squeezing buns. Maybe that's your version. Or maybe you want to try this, yeah? And I have to raise my upper body up, grab my yoga pant, pull it towards me, and then hands back behind, beneath. I let my foot drop, and it's like, woo! Hello, spicy behind. Now, it's not too much, but it's just enough. And again, if I want a little more, even in this version, maybe move a little bit side to side. There's this old John Cougar Mellencamp song. It's called Hurt So Good. This reminds me of that right here. I don't know if it hurts so good, but it does. It feels kind of edgy. I'm going to put it out there. It's edgy, okay? But again, it's sometimes very beneficial to kind of give it kind of a little poke the bear business to kind of ease it out and release it. Yay. Okay, from here again. Stomp the feet, shake the legs. And you know what? While we're here, let's grab our yoga block. I'm going to go back to being up and down here on the yoga mat. Not at an angle if I can get over there. Okay. And we're going to do block bridge. We're going to do that right now because I'm checking the time. We need to do block bridge to make this a complete thing. Now, this does not translate well to the chair, especially if you have a backless chair. You take your yoga block and you place your behind firm against that yoga block. I mean, you get a little bit of good effect, but you might as well go over to the couch and try this, okay? Grab your yoga block and then walk your feet towards your behind. Lift your behind up and at them and bring the block underneath. Now, if that's not attainable, you can do this without the block. And I always feel kind of crunchy here, so I kind of walk my shoulders away. This feels weird on my pacemaker too, because my pacemaker kind of goes up my body a little bit, but it's okay. And so you're going to feel this kind of attraction feeling going on with your low back. This is not good for you. Take the block out. Just be here with a bare bottom, not a bare bottom, but your bottom on the floor. Now we're going to raise a leg up. Here we go, and shake the leg. So this helps us stay in the posture by doing this and gives a little bit of vibrational energy going into sometimes where some really deeply held tension is being done. And then shake, like little micro shakes, little tiny little shakes, side to side, little wriggling here. And then up and down. Also brings feelings of kind of energy into the bottom of the foot, the calf, the knee, the quadricep, the hamstring, the hip complex. Shake side to side. And then release it down. Let's do the other side. Bring the other leg up, leg off the floor. Shake the leg a little bit. You can do that seated on the chair too. But again, not all things in yoga for back care translate well to the chair. But I have a lot of chair folks that like this class. So there you go. Okay. And then side to side. 2 weeks ago, we taught the class from the chair. So if you need to see that, that's on the YouTube channel. And shake, shake, shake. Wriggle, wriggle, wriggle. Now maybe you can bring both legs in the air. Here we go. Woo! And shake them. Shake them a little bit more if you can. Little fast shakes. And then side to side. Fast shakes again. Side to side. All right. Bring one leg down. Then the other. Press it to the floor. Press your shoulders maybe and lift up. Bring that block out. Roll your spine down. Notice what you notice. You might feel an immense release. It might be maybe subtle. And then let's do notice pose. Extend one leg. Shake that leg a little bit. Do the other one. Shake that leg. Move those shoulders. So notice what you notice here. Do you feel a little bit more connected to the surface that's supporting you? You probably do. Does it feel different compared to the first one or two notice poses that we did? It might. Then from here, shifting your feet back onto the yoga mat. And bring one knee into the chest, hands back behind that knee, and point and flex your foot. Normally we do this at the beginning of class, but it didn't happen today. So we're doing a little ankle articulation to help us walk better, have better gait, walking ability by keeping everything kind of mobile here. And then draw circles outward with your feet. Try to do the tiniest circle and then make it medium and then bigger. So we're testing our fine motor skills with our feet, with our ankles. And then pause and then make those circles go the other direction. Tiny, tiny. Well, I feel real stiff on the tiny ones. And then medium. Maybe some snap, crackle, pops happening here. And then the big circle. And then from here, with that knee, bring the knee into the chest. And then extend that leg out. You may want to put a strap along the bottom of the foot to do this if you're seated. And again, knee into chest. Leg out. Once again, knee into chest. And the leg out. Knee into chest and foot onto the floor. Other side. So bring the other knee into the chest, hands back behind that knee pit or hands interlaced on the shin, whatever you can manage, and point and flex. Now I tend to do this slow because I tend to get leg cramps. So when I do them fast, it sometimes invokes the leg cramps. I'm going, oh, no, no, no. All right, from here, we're going to draw circles, tiny ones. Ankle circles, ankle snap, crackle, pops, and then medium, and then big sizes. And then let's pause and go the other way. So tiny little circles to begin with. Bigger ones. And more big. Woo! All right. And then from here, bring the knee a little bit more into the chest, or maybe not, and extend that leg out. Again, knee into chest. This is for your knees, your hips, your ankle glide. There may be feeling some snap, crackle, pops in the knees and the hip. May feel a little creaky, a little poppy. One more. And then bring the foot back on down. Now let's go back toward the ones we did at the beginning, the windshield wipers, shall we? So we're gonna be your feet on the yoga block, balls of the feet on the yoga block if you're seated. Now, those of us on the floor, drop one knee out to the side. Ooh, notice what you notice. It just like go down the floor. It's like feels okay, or maybe you've gone past your range of motion from before. Then take that top leg, drop it. Now, here's the thing. Are you clearing more booty space off the yoga mat? I am. And it's up into my upper back now too. Bring that top leg back to the center, bottom leg back to the center. Let's do the other side once you're here in constructive rest pose a little bit. And then other side, drop the leg. And then take that top leg, drop it towards the bottom leg. Again, I'm going to slide my hand underneath. I'm clearing some space here, some mid back, some upper back space, a little low lumbar twist. Woo! And bring that top leg back to the center, bottom leg back to the center. So what I like to do is like the spinal twist before we end class. So when you come up off the floor, for me, again, because I had that SI joint dysfunction, I have to raise up and then turn because weight bearing turning invokes that pain. I don't want pain. So I'm going to walk my feet towards my behind, lift up, then turn, and then I'm going to continue to turn and take my time. Sometimes you can be a little dizzy when you come up off the floor. So the hand that's in front of your chest and the top leg, extend it, press into that hand. You might want to come to your forearm for a little kind of like rest, because, you know, we were on the floor here. You come up off the floor, sometimes coming upright gives you a little dizzy business, and then continue. Now you can do this either seated on the chair or on the floor or the couch. I'll do this on the floor. I'm going to take my yoga blanket. This is why I have the yoga blanket. It's, you know, a nice little triangle shape happening here, and I fold it into thirds because I'm wanting to create this kind of thickness going on. Okay, and I take that thickness and I'm going to sit my behind on the edge of this. This allows my pelvis to tilt forward for my challenges with my back, okay? We're all a work in progress. All right, so I'm going to come over and sit on that block. Okay, you know what? I'm going to grab my yoga block too, because sometimes, well, maybe both of them. Because, you know, sometimes my knees are way up because it's like super tight, right? And then I'll just use these blocks to rest my leg weight, and that feels okay. But, you know, sometimes, you know, I can sit here crisscross and, you know, it's all right in the body. Well, this feels okay. Well, I'm going to put some underneath that right side though. So we did a low lumbar twist, and now we're going to do what's called an unsupported twist. So those of you that have been to class know what that's about, but those of you that are new, what we'll do, so sometimes when you're in class, the teacher will say, take your arm over to the opposite leg and then twist. That's called a levered twist. In other words, your back is not doing the work. The force of your upper body, your muscles is doing the work. We want the back to do the work today. So we're going to bring the hands out into what I call letter W. So you feel that upper shoulder squeeze, upper back engagement. And we're going to do the breath. Breathe in, expand the belly. And as you exhale, really contract the belly button towards the spine. Now, with the squeezy shoulders, you're going to turn over towards one side. Keep the shoulders squeezed as best you can. So it's your thoracic spine doing the work, your chin aligned with your chest. Sometimes I lose that outside shoulder. I just go back and re-squeeze it. And from here, stay here, breathe in, belly big, belly button tight, exhale back to the center. And release the arms down. So, because sometimes when we're holding those shoulders, it's like a little fatigue. Let's do the lymphatic shoulder shrug. So up and down, moving those fluids, getting that stuff that accumulates, going through that thoracic outlet on the left side. All right, we're going to go back to that letter W, squeezing of the shoulders, squeezy. I'm squeezy today. And we're going to breathe in, belly big. And then belly button tight, turn towards the other area. Ooh, I twisted more on this side. Notice what you notice. Stay here, breathe in, belly big, squeeze the shoulders. Belly button tight, come back to the center. Beautiful. And then relax. Let's do alternative shoulder rolls. How do you call this? I know it feels weird, right? I'm just, again, trying to get a little range of motion here. I'm feeling a little exaggerated today. I'm going to reverse that. It always feels strange in the body. All right, and I'm just going to wriggle it out. So the next one is side lateral flexion. You know what? I might try to switch the feet. Yeah, that's okay. All right. I have to readjust my behind on the yoga blanket. All right, so for side lateral flexion, is think of it, you've got that can of zucchini that you only use once a year in your recipes. So it's way up there on the top shelf. So think of it as that way. I'm going to move my yoga block here. We're going to inhale, circle, sweep arms up. And then place one hand on the chair or back behind you on the chair. So feel that little squeezy, or fingertips on the floor or back behind you. And then inhale, reach up again. Belly button tight. Exhale, lean that side body over. Now I'm bending that back elbow to support it with weight-wise. But again, I'm going from that armpit to the hip, kind of stretching the body, the quadriceps lumboris. We do this in the standing postures sometimes when we do the warrior poses, side lateral flexion, but we can do this seated too. Then bring it back on up and float it down. Woo! We got to do the other side. So here we go. Breathe in, up, up, up. And then sneak a hand back behind you on the chair, or fingertips on the floor, or palm on the floor, kind of back here by your back booty. And then inhale, reach, 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 reach for the sky. Well, I think that's in Toy Story, right? Anyway. Yeah, okay, I say a lot of strange things. Bring it back on up and down. All right, so a lot of people's favorite is cat-cow. So I'm going to take that block out on this one. So seated, again, you're sitting up nice and tall. You come away from the back of the chair a little bit because you got to let your spine curve to the back of the chair. But those of us sitting, you can either do this on hands and knees or seated on your behind. I'm going to do the seated on the behind one today. So from here, breathe in, belly big. And I'm going to contract my belly button towards my spine and then curve my spine to the back of the room. So I feel like my muscles are moving away from my spiny back. Woo! Now, this one's sometimes spicy because you just went into a pelvic tilt, and now you're coming out of that pelvic tilt to neutral spine. So from here, first, breathe in, belly big, with contracted belly button towards your spine. Slowly come out of that pelvic tilt to a neutral spine. It could be spicy depending on your challenges, okay? Stay here, breathe in, belly big. Let's hinge forward. Exhale. That's your cow pose or forward fold. Maybe fingertips on the floor or hands beside the legs if this feels awkward on the legs, okay? Let's come out of it, but first we breathe and then come up to a seated place. Now we're going to go back to the back of the room. Breathe in first. Belly button tight, curve the spine to the back of the room. Get that little cat back going on. If you need to meow, this is the time to do it. And then breathe in, belly big. My belly don't move much on that one. Exhale, come back to tall seated mountain. Woo! We're going to do the cow version one more time, but first we breathe in, belly big. Exhale, hinge forward. Beautiful. And then come back to neutral spine. Just go ahead and come back. So we're going to come up off the ground. So we're going to try to do this the way that I talked about it when we came off the floor. But those of you that want to go ahead and stand up, you can. So I'm going to drag that chair close by so I don't have to crawl, okay? And bring my yoga blanket out of the way. I've got it on the yoga mat. So I'm going to turn my body towards the chair. Again, I'm on my knee, that's okay. And this is just a variation of how to get up off the floor, right? So I got my forearms on the chair, and I'm maybe, have the legs kind of straddling the side of the chair, and I'm kind of scooching as close as I can. And then I'm going to lean to the chair, curl that back toe, straighten that back leg, straighten my arms, and then bring that leg towards the chair. Now since I'm going to go to standing, I'm going to have my hands on the chair, belly button tight, hinge the body up, to come up right. Now, again, there can be dizzy issues going on when you come up off the floor. You may want to just keep hanging on to that chair. In which case, maybe you want to I'm going to move the chair to the center. I'm going to do a standing cat-cow. So I'm going to curve my spine to the back of the room, get that curve going on, and then sit up nice and tall. And then I'm going to place my hands on the small of my behind back, and then kind of push my pelvis bones forward, chest toward the wall meets the ceiling for your standing cow pose, or fingertips on the chair. That works too. And then come back to a neutral spine. I'm not pushing it forward on it, pushing it back. I'm going to go back to standing cat-cow, curve that spine, bend those knees a little bit, and then come back to neutral spine, placing my hands. It's called standing back bend also, just a little subtle back bend. You can do fists on your hips. You can do open palms on and support as you kind of lift up. Look where that wall meets the ceiling. You might feel a little bit easier breathing going on when you do that too. And release. Now this next one can be done seated on the chair, can be done standing. I'm gonna go ahead and do that seated on the chair, just to demonstrate that that can be done. It's called 8 movement meditation. So we have the hands out beside the body. All right. So from here, we're going to inhale, gather in. Exhale, raise it up to shoulder height. Inhale, open up. Exhale, float it back to the front. Inhale, float it towards your chest. Exhale, push it out. Inhale, lower. Exhale, out to the side. Let's do that again. Inhale, gather in. Exhale, rise. Inhale, opening up. Exhale, back together. Inhale, float towards your chest. Exhale, push it forward. Inhale, lower. Exhale, out to the side. From here, inhale, circle, sweep arms up. And then exhale, float it out. Smoothing out that energy. And again, inhaling, circle, sweep arms up. Bring the hands down to heart center, down to your belly. Now, you can rest here on your belly at heart center. We're going to be doing a little bit of a guided rest here. I'm going to come up a little bit closer to the room. Again, this follows our more traditional format of a gentle yoga for back care class. And you just kind of settle your body. Maybe you're lying on your back. That could be also an option, or you're on the couch or a comfy chair. So whatever it is, get comfortable. Now I invite you either to kind of close your eyes or maybe gaze your eyes down towards the floor. Just notice the places of your body that are being supported by the surface beneath you. If this feels more comfortable with arms out to the side, just know that's an option too, okay? All right, so I'm noticing the pressure of my bottoms of my feet, the back of the legs, my behind, my back. Maybe if you're lying on your back, you notice the back of the head. So notice that sensation of support, that feeling grounded, that heaviness, that weightedness. So the back side of the body feels weighted, heavy. Very good. Now let's contrast that, compare that to the front places of the body. Maybe you're feeling the air coming across the skin, the neck, the face, the feet. The arms are light, the legs are light. So when you contrast the places in the front side of the body, they feel a little different than the places in the back side, the supported side. So compare back side versus the front side versus the back. And let's compare both the back and the front at the same time. Good. And let's return to the present moment. So I invite you to wiggle those feet, move those fingers, those wrists. If you're lying on your back, maybe bring one knee into the chest and the other, and then kind of rock side to side. If you're like kind of really in this chair, come away from the chair, and then hands on the legs and do a little upper body circle. Whether your knees to the chest doing the body circle or sitting up doing the body circle. And if you are lying on your back, maybe you can roll over onto your side, push yourself up to a seated place. Those of us already seated, let's pause and go the other direction. Again, kind of notice what you're feeling in your body. If there's some things that still need to be worked out, if it feels a little bit easier in your body, more ease in the body. And then once everybody is upright seated, I invite you to be, upright. And we're going to take an opposite shoulder. So this is a levered stretch. We're going to hinge forward and then take that opposite shoulder, lean it towards that opposite leg. Maybe both hands are on the leg and you're pulling into it a little bit. Again, we're not trying to go to an ouchy place, but feeling a nice lengthening movement. And then come back up to the center. And we're going to do the same with the other side. So we hinge forward a little first, okay? And you think about the other shoulder, turn it towards that opposite knee. Maybe both hands rest on that leg, and your chin, your face is looking towards that opposite leg. You might feel this in the back side, along the kind of the edge of the shoulder blade, maybe not. And then come back on up, back to the center. Very good. Hands together, let's do swimming dragon to understand our range of motion in our neck and our shoulders. So we're going to breathe in, belly big. And as we exhale, contract the belly, push the hands one direction, and then turn your head the other direction. Again, we're not going to the ouch area. We're just noticing what we notice here. Stay here, breathe in. Bring everything back to the center. Now let's do the other side, but first we breathe in, belly big. Push the hands the other direction, turn the head the other direction. Notice what you notice here. Stay here, breathe in. Exhale back to the center. Now I'm going to scoot back just a little bit because I want you to be able to see my hands on this. We're going to do spread the feathers. And we're going to spread our hands like a little starfish and take the hand out to the side. Then my hand's a little high, but what I invite you to do is lower the arm a little bit. We're going to take that thumb, turn it to the back of the room. So you might feel some contraction energy going on with that extended arm. Now, with our head, I'm going to take my opposite ear and drop it towards my shoulder. So we're inviting more blood flow into the brain, the carotid, with this spread the feathers. And we're going to add on to this a little bit. We're going to take the chin, turn it towards our shoulder. Notice what you notice. It may not be, maybe very subtle. And then if it's available, we're going to take that chin and point it towards where the wall meets the ceiling. And then with the chin, we're going to draw a half circle or a smile. So bring the chin towards the chest and then up towards that shoulder and up towards the ceiling and release. So again, just kind of helps you with the range of motion in the neck and the shoulders type of thing. Let's do the other side. So spread the feathers of the other hand, bring the arm out to the side. And again, I'm going to turn the thumb, I'm going to lower a little bit more. Very good. And turn the thumb to the back of the room. And then I'm going to drop my ear towards my shoulder. And you're comparing this side versus the other. Maybe you notice, maybe you don't. And then take that chin, turn it towards that shoulder bone. Ooh, a little spicy on that side. And then from here, invite the chin to go towards the ceiling, towards where the wall meets the ceiling. We're going to take that chin and draw a half circle or a smile with the chin. So take the chin towards the chest, then towards the other shoulder, and then up towards where the wall meets the ceiling, and back to the center. From here, shake the hands, bring it up, bring it to the side. The other side, shake the flappy arms, palms up for that carpal tunnel. And then bring the hands to heart center. Now I invite you to drop your chin towards your chest, and gratitude is showing up today. Let's think about one thing that we're grateful for, or maybe an idea of gratitude, and grab it, clasp it, place it into our heart space. I appreciate y'all's dedication, determination, discipline, and responsibility for signing up for a class, for coming to class, or maybe watching a video later on. You're on that path of self-healing, self-help with your coming to yoga nidras, Tai Chi, all your movement practices, all the things you're doing for yourself. And then from here, lift our chin, gaze our eyes forward. We'll end our class in a traditional way. So light in me honors and respects the light in you. So let's take the peace, the strength, and the understanding, and that little attitude of gratitude, and let's pass it on. Namaste, which means the bright light honors and respects the bright light in you. This concludes our practice of gentle yoga for back care. Let me come up to the front of the room and stop the recording. And then I also put in the chat line, the pain and distress survey. So let me stop the recording first. Stop recording.